So why did I switch? Well, a couple of reasons really. I mean, this year's been a bit mental anyway, and it's been a bit crazy in terms of the pandemic stuff that's been happening and what have you. But I've been, as I say, I've been a Mac user for such a long time, and my MacBook Pro, that I was editing on was from sort of late 2013, and I hate the touch bar thing. I'm like sort of absolutely, completely against touch bars, just because I just think, well, I just don't get the functionality of it really. I prefer to use a keyboard and shortcuts and what have you, rather than using a touch screen that's just something else that can go wrong effectively. And also, when I looked at MacBook Pros, at the time, the M1 stuff aside, I was just like, these are probably not going to be future-proofed to the degree that I actually want them to be. And versus cost and what have you, I just thought, well, maybe I need a desktop. And I've previously had iMacs, and I've had G4s, and I've had Mac Pros even, the old cheese grater one, not the new cheese grater one. And you know, I thought, well, let's have a look and see how much the cost is for a desktop. And an iMac Pro is like £6,000, something like that. And then a Mac Pro is like, 30 grand and up. 20, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 quid for a Mac Pro, depending on what spec you want. And truth be told, the truth is, when I looked at specking a Mac Pro, I thought, I'll get a cheese grater Mac Pro. I looked at getting one of those. When I spec'd it out, it was astronomically priced for the spec that I was getting. I mean, they were putting in an AMD, I think it's a 580X, which is about 200, 300 quid on Amazon or whatever. It was like £2,000 for a graphics card, and the graphics card for me to buy it on Amazon was about 300-400 quid, something like that. I can't remember. It was massively cheap compared to what Apple were charging. And I just thought, right, well, I'd used the PC for a year or two at work, pretty much because security reasons and ability for the guys at work to be able to look after that. They didn't really know anything about Macs, so they were like, get a PC and use that for work, and then we can support you and we can give you everything you need network wise and what have you. So I've been using one for about a year, 18 months, and then I thought they're not really that much different. Windows 10 and Mac OS is not fundamentally that much different in terms of what you can do with it. Sure, there are things that I miss or did miss, the touchy spacebar thing to be able to preview stuff, but there's an app for that, so I just downloaded it, and you don't have to run it; it just does it automatically, and boom, I'm back to where I was before. There's a little bit of fiddling around installing and uninstalling stuff with a PC rather than a Mac. I think in a Mac I've got that nailed, to be honest, and they're very, very simple in terms of, you want something on, you drag it on, you want something off, you put it in your bin and you get rid of it and it's gone. With a PC it's a little bit more in depth, but all in all and overall it's not really that much different. And this PC, save all its LEDs and all the rest of it, which I weren't even going to get at the time, I wasn't even going to bother with LEDs. It just happens that half the stuff that you get for a PC comes with LEDs, and then you get on that train and all the rest of it, and ooh, they're shiny, they're bright, they blink and all that kind of thing, and then before you know it, it's like a Christmas tree. But the whole thing, screen included, is like 3,200 quid. It's like £3,200 for a machine that is essentially the equivalent of like a £25,000 Mac Pro. And what do I get? What do I get for that? It's not been as much of a learning curve as I thought it was going to be. I spent a week getting used to a Mac when I first got one, sort of 15 years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is completely different to what I'm used to. And truth be told, it took me a day, if that, to get used to working on a PC. All the software I use is Adobe, obviously, as you know from my YouTube channel, and it's all pretty much the same stuff. It's exactly the same as it was on the Mac, save from a couple of keyboard shortcuts which you can rebind yourself anyway. It was pretty much absolutely exactly the same, and performed exactly the same as it did on the Mac, which was, has been, for me personally, has been flawlessly. I know there are people out there who it crashes their machine every 5 minutes, but for me that's never been an issue really. And yeah, it just ended up being a thing where I thought, do you know what, I can build this myself as well. As a bit of a project during this, when we're being locked down every 5 minutes. 1 minute we're in a lockdown, next minute we're not. I just thought, do you know what, while I've got the chance, I'll give it a go, build this PC, and then see where I go from there. And it ended up being saving me a massive amount of money, saving me a massive amount of heartache. And on top of that, there's the ability to upgrade it component-wise. Virtually everything, in fact, absolutely everything can be upgraded component-wise. I'm not stuck with a particular motherboard, I'm not stuck with a particular type of graphics card, I'm not stuck with a particular type of memory, I'm not stuck with a particular type of hard drive or case or mouse or keyboard or any kind of peripheral really. I am pretty much left to my own devices to decide what it is that I want. So if I want to upgrade to a motherboard that will do a terabyte of RAM, I'll upgrade to a motherboard that uses a terabyte of RAM. Quite why you would need a terabyte of RAM is beyond me, because everything I do, even in After Effects, it mainly uses the graphics card. So really, the graphics card is the thing you need to be upgrading and updating, and it just sort of like makes a difference knowing that if when I come to upgrade it, I'm not having to buy an entirely new machine. I'm not going out and thinking, right, I've got this iMac, it had 64 gig of RAM in it, and now I've got to go out and spend another 5,000 quid on another iMac with 128 gig of RAM in it, because there's no way of upgrading the RAM, or it doesn't have enough RAM, or the screen's not right, or it's out of date now, or the software's not it's not supported anymore because it's legacy, or it's discontinued or whatever. And it just sort of makes sense to me to be able to be in control of all the things that you need to be in control of in order to be able to do your job, and to do your hobby. Making YouTube videos is basically a hobby, and I want to be in control of when I can do that and how I can do it, and what's available to me hardware wise to be able to do that, and will it all work. And with a PC, generally speaking, it all will plug in and work with it. There's no like, oh, you haven't got a driver for that, or Mac don't support that anymore because they fell out with Nvidia or whatever, and now you can't have Nvidia graphics cards, despite the fact that even Adobe will tell you that Nvidia graphics cards work better with Adobe than AMD ones do. Something to do with CUDA, I don't know. But effectively you're in control of all that, and that's the reason why I switched. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. It's cost me, as much as probably a new MacBook Pro would do, but I've got the ability to upgrade it as and when I choose. I've got the ability to transport it into a different case if I want to, if it's too big or too small or whatever. I can add hard drives, I can use it as a server, I can play games on it if I want to, which I've never done on a PC. I've never played any games on a PC, even on Mac, I've never played any games, so I'm looking forward to having a look and see what that's all about, because people keep raving about it. And yeah, I just thought, now is the time, if I'm going to do it, now is the time to switch. Now is the time to flip across and have a go and see what the other side is bringing to the table in terms of how I actually work with my workflow. And yeah, so I'll keep you updated, and we'll revisit it again. I'll stick the specs below so you know what specs they are, but I'll stick them on the B-roll of this as well, so you can see what there is inside the machine. It's quite a decent machine, to be fair, and I'm hoping that it's gonna kick some when we come to actually exporting stuff and doing some editing and some After Effects stuff. And for that, I will actually let you know. I will let you know what actually I think of it. I'll do a bit of a review in maybe a couple of months' time, and once I've had a chance to actually go at it, and yeah, we'll keep at it and see what it does. But for me, as I say, that's all I wanted to let you know. That's all I wanted to say about it. If you're thinking of switching across or upgrading or whatever, I would advise definitely don't be conned or sort of blinkered into I've definitely got to go with the Mac because that's what I always have and they're the best and all the rest of it. Because quite frankly, I can remember when Macs would, he never sent one back, and I've had 3 at work that had to go back to the shop to be repaired, that were brand new and less than a few months old, if that, and they needed to go back, and I'd never had that before, and that was another thing that sort of tipped me on the side of let's have a go somewhere else, is that I've been using it for 15 years and I've exclusively been using it for 15 years. What do I know whether the grass is greener or not? Might be the same colour, but I'm not going to know that until I just have a look over the hedge and see, aren't I? So that's basically what I'm doing. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!